There we go. At 5:50 it becomes July 4th. And then July 4th is my progress constant date. Each one, every listing, the first listing after my ephemeris becomes July 4th, 1947, just after my birthday. And then the next one becomes July 4th, 1948, July 4th, 1949, July 4th, 1950. It's going to stay July 4th. Each listing will stay July 4th, but it'll change 1 year at a time, whereas the ephemeris is changing 1 day at a time. But then we set up a calendar where we can go in and we convert the planet's positions right into what year it's in very closely. And since most things have a year, at least a year's effect, you can work it without even having to get really down to seconds or anything like that. So if I use the midnight ephemeris, it's day 290 plus 77.2 days, it adds up 367.2, which is January 2nd. It goes 365, then 2.6, came to January 2nd as the progress constant date. Okay, so sample one, here's how we do it for time. Okay, 8:30. I'm just going to go, I want to show you each of yours because we've done it so you can see that and you get a sense of this, because next week we've got to look up, we got to get the ephemerises, and for our birth, for the 4 months, for our birth month and the next 3 months. And you can get them for free. If you have an ephemeris, you photocopy them, or you can work with photocopy, but then you're going to be making a photocopy set almost for each planet to work with it. So it's good to, if you go to astro.com, we'll be going into this more, but I'm just telling you a bit ahead. You go to astro.com and find where they have their ephemeris, their 9,000 year ephemeris. You go in and you find your birth year, and you download your birth year. It'll give you the ephemeris. If you're born in September, October, November, or October, November, December, you might have to have your birth year and the next birth year because your progressions will go into January, February. So you just need to get that for next week. But this progress constant date is the thing that bugs everybody. It's like in calculating. Once you get past this, it's easy to use the ephemeris. You don't need to. It's your own. The book of the ephemeris is your own computer. It's already laid out. You just have to read it. It's right there in front of you. If you need exact to the minute times, then you can use the computer to get them. But this is a really useful factor. So this person was born in Aurelia, 7520 west 25, which is west of the time standard. So it's going to be sunrise at the time standard, still be dark in Aurelia, and it ends up being like Toronto when you survive 4 degrees 25 minutes, 4.5 degrees. 4 minutes for each degree, 16.52 minutes, 18 minutes. So it's 18 minutes. So the time on the clock, 3:23 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, it gets changed to 2:23 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2:23, and then you go subtract 2:23 minus 18 minutes. So you end up with 2:05. 2:05 is going to be the standard time. And that would be 2:05, was that AM or PM? 2:05 AM standard time, or local mean time. So we go to 2:05, 1963, July 25th, 2:05 local mean. Once we got that, we've locked in the local mean time, okay? First step. Then we have to see the time in Greenwich Mean Time. So really, you can get that 2 different ways, but we come back here to get the Greenwich Mean Time. To get the interval is going to be 5 hours from standard time, 5 hours away to Greenwich time. But since you're 18 minutes before that, you have to, it's 18 minutes more from England, a bigger difference. So it's 5 hours and 18 minutes away from Greenwich. So when you add the 5 hours and 18 minutes, because it's ahead of us, sun rises in England before it rises in Canada. So you add the 5 hours. So if it's 2:05 where you add the, it's not, sorry, it was 5 hours and 18 minutes. Yeah, so you add the 5 hours and 18 minutes, 2:05, you get 7:23. 7:23 a.m. 1963, July 25th. This is the next, this is the GMT that she was born at, which what we need to do to get to the ephemeris. Okay, So I know I'm going fast, but you can listen to it. You'll be able to watch it again. You can go over these and just clicking in a few examples. And for those of you who haven't calculated, you'll have it here. So you have your example is here to work with. And we're going to go through how to do this on the computer too. But this is for midnight ephemeris, the next GMT. For midnight, she's born at 7:23 a.m. on the 25th. She's going to take the 26th at 0 a.m. And I'm going to convert it to the day before, July 25th, 2360. So I'm making it 1160 instead of 12:00 midnight. Same time, just so I can make the subtraction. You subtract at the 7:20, then you put the 7:23 and you subtract it from the next midnight. You end up with 16 hours and 37 minutes. So it's 6 hours and 37 minutes to the next Greenwich Mean Time from her time of birth. Okay. And if you're using a noon ephemeris, it would only be 4 hours. It would be still subtracts the 7:23, but from 12 hours, and it would end up being 4 hours and 37 minutes to the next noon ephemeris date. Then we convert it. So here we have the next. Here's to the next midnight, 1637. Round, and if there's any seconds, just round them off. Too complicated. Don't need it that much. 1637, 16 hours becomes 243 days. We can go back to the table. Look, I'm not going to go back to the table. We looked at the table. Okay, do it one more time. 243.5 days. No, that's how we got the, sorry, where are we here? It's if we 16, it's 1643 to get, we're looking at 1643 to get this, 1637 to get the 16 hours. We look up 16 hours to get the days. So we go up to this graph. We look at the 16 hours here, 243.5. The days, the minutes to days on the other side. So, oops, too far. Where are we here? Okay. So for 16 hours, 235, you go up, see the minutes, 9.4 days, add them together. So the 16 hours and 37 minutes till the next noon, till the next midnight, ends up being 252.9 days from the time, from your time till the next ephemeris listing. So the days to the next GMT listing and progress days is 252.9 days if you're using the midnight ephemeris. If it's noon, you are 4:30, you take the hours to the next noon is 4:37, and 4 hours, you'd end up with 70.3 days to the next noon. Again, once you got the how many hours and minutes to the next, from your time of birth to the next, it's your GMT at your birth to the next noon or midnight, you'll see how you get hours and minutes, you convert them to the number of days. Once you got the number of days, we have, we know there's the GMT 7:20, July 25th, 2:05 a.m. local mean time. But we looked up your day number of July 25th local mean time, because sometimes the local mean time can go from before midnight to after midnight, it can change days. So you always put the date with this. So July 25th is day 206. We looked up at the table for July 25th, we got day 206. We wrote it down. The time to the next listing in progress days is 252 days. So from my birthday, from the birthday, and we're working with 206, July 25th, the 206 is the 206th day of the year. We add 252 days to it, we get 458.9 days. That's how many days to the next ephemeris listing. We go look up that, it will be in the second column of the one. You see April 3rd is the progress constant date. So the first, so for, it's a progress constant date. So we're going to work this, but that means her local mean, it's GMT, July 25th. So the noon position of the midnight ephemeris for July 26th, the 0 hours, that would be for April 23rd of 1964. Just go ahead that much forward, and then the next one will be April 3rd of 1965, April 3rd, 1966. So we're going to be doing that specifically. I'll show you how to do that next week. But for the noon ephemeris, would it come out to the, you just have the different number of days. It's 180 days less, because you're going 12 hours less, and you get the total number of days to the next noon, and then you add it to your birth date, and you get the Prog Constant Date. Okay. I'll explain one or two more, but then we'll just show each one quickly so everybody has an example of theirs. This first class or two is dealing with a little bit of calculations to think it through. The world's changing so fast. Soon, in some time in the near future, there's not going to be ephemeris around anymore. You know, except on computer getting them. If those computers, if somebody dies and that site isn't there anymore, suddenly we're not going to be able to get computer ephemeris. So it's useful to have ephemeris if you can get them, but on that website of Astrology.com, you can copy down 100, you can download 100 years and have all the ephemeris you'll need for your life and have a copy of it on your computer, which is a good idea to do. It's www.astro.com, ASTRO.com. It changes to Astrodienst, which is a German site, but it's English when you go onto it. So, okay, sample 2, we got July 5th, 69, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is going to be 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. And in Greenwich Mean Time, 10:30 will be 5 hours, will be 4:30 p.m. on July 5th. So here we go. That was it. Choose Toronto. Yeah. Okay, choose Toronto. So we know Toronto. We've gone over this. It's 18 minutes. So what we have, the standard time was 10:30. 11:30 goes 10:30 because it's daylight saving. It's 10:30 the standard time. We subtract 18 minutes from 10:30, and we're going to get 10:12. And 10:12 will be the local mean time. So we have it here. 1965, 07, 05, 10:12. And these are going to be 24-hour clocks, so they don't have to say AM or PM. It's 10:12 in the day, local mean time, sundial time. But to get to Greenwich, you can either add the Greenwich Mean Time. It's going to be 15:30 because you're really that 518 minutes away from. You take away 518. You add 518 to this, and you get back. You get to 15:30. Okay, Greenwich Mean Time. So to the next, that's afternoon. So to the midnight, it's only going to be to the next midnight. You subtract. It's midnight, July 6th. I put the July 5th because I make it 2360 and then I subtract it, and you end up with July 5th, 8:30, 8 hours and 30 minutes to the next midnight in GMT. The next listing in ephemeris. The noon ones will be going right to noon of July 6th the next day. So to get July 5th, you have 24 hours plus the 12, 36 hours or 30, to make that subtraction, 15:30. You end up 20 hours and 30 minutes away from the next noon. In astrology, you always have to calculate something to find out things. It's always a little bit of work. It used to be a lot more when you had to hand calculate it. You know, I had to hand calculate probably 5,000 or 10,000 charts before computers came around. Whew. You just got into it as part of your meditation, getting into a chart. But in any case, so this was second nature, but it's been a long time since I had to hand calculate the progress charts. So I had to think these through a little bit to get these presentation together. So her time to 8:30, 8 hours 30 minutes to the next midnight. That goes to 8 hours, 121.8 days, 30 minutes, 7.6 days, 129.4 days to the next listing in the ephemeris, so the next GMT. That's the midnight. If it was noon, it would be 312 days to the next noon listing.